Middle parting, horseshoe-shaped section on top. Measure with your comb, section the top, isolate the high point, and cleanly bump the hair out of the way. We remove the clips which stopped us getting muddied when sectioning the top, and we start our cut at the centre back, with our body also at the back, and we take a horizontal slither section just under the horseshoe section. Using one end of our comb pressed on the scalp as a measuring guide, starting with our fingers close to the scalp, we pull the hair straight out from the head at a 90-degree angle until we reach 3/4 of a comb and cut. We could cut this first length much longer, which would give us a much softer result. The reason why we have used 3/4 of a comb here is because this is the shortest we can cut this section, which we have learned through the pain of our mistakes. 3/4 of a comb will give us the strongest result, which is still a soft result. The slither section is half the size of a normal section. You will see why the slither section is so important when we have finished cutting the underneath of the hair. We continue cutting this slither section all the way around on both sides to the front of the head, pulling the hair out at 90 degrees and using our combs and measuring stick as we go to make sure we maintain the same length.
Hi. this thing here?
Yeah.
Whatever you recorded.
Yeah. Whatever you want. Do you want to just like circle it or put times like 20 or something,
Right.
and then we'll get it all ordered?
Yeah.
Yeah. Leave that there, yeah.
Cheers, thank you.
Later.
Bye.
All the way around the head as we work. Please note our feet and body are directly in front of our section as we cut. This will guarantee we do not over-direct and the hair will be the same length all the way around, which is exactly what we want with the slither on the long disconnection. This first section we need to get balance and the length right, as this will be our guide through the whole haircut. Horizontal slither under the horseshoe shape. Measure with your comb, 3/4 of a comb, lift the hair 90 degrees from the head. Take a normal cutting sized vertical section down the middle back and clip the hair either side neatly out of the way so we have a clear, clean view of the hair we are about to comb and cut. Comb the hair up to the ceiling, making sure the hair is wet so our little slither guide sticks to the side of the long hair so we can clearly see the slither guide. We then squeeze cut from our slither guide to our furthest, longest length, nice and slowly. Making sure our thumb is moving so we are cutting, not sliding or pushing the scissors through the hair. With our body firmly to the right hand side for right hand is where our body will stay for the whole haircut and vice versa for left hands. Using the shank of our scissors to cut, we squeeze gently, resting our thumb delicately on the scissors so we have complete control. Cutting like you would a piece of cloth or paper with the shank and never actually closing the scissors completely, like you would do when you cut normally. We take another vertical section parallel to our previous section, clipping our previous section that we have just cut completely out of the way. so we are not using our previous section as a guide. We cannot stress enough, this isn't like a usual haircut where you use the previous section as your guide. We always forget about the previous section throughout the whole of the long disconnection haircut. Our guide each time is always the slither and the longest furthest hair away from the slither. So refreshingly, there is no cross-checking with this haircut. We urge you to cut a piece of paper before attempting the squeeze, as the squeeze is the same method, using your thumb to cut and never actually closing the scissors completely. Cutting a piece of paper first before you attempt the squeeze will give you the action and understanding of the squeeze technique. Our body position stays directly at the right hand side for right-handers and the left for left-handers. When you first attempt the squeeze, we advise to not rush the method. Take your time. The facial expressions are not necessary, but getting your head around the method before you work on your ninja speed is. We always concentrate on picking up the slither guide first with our fingers placed right up near the horseshoe section. The hair at the bottom of the nape will be dragged along for the ride. We pull our fingers right the way to the top of the hair. Our fingers are in a horizontal position always, making sure we can clearly see the slither guide, which is our first guide each time before we squeeze. Always being cautious that we do not take any hair off of our furthest length. Vertical sections, not using the previous section as a guide, yet always squeezing from the guide, with hair neatly out of the way. We next take a diagonal section. Out from the very front, the size of a thick cutting section, which will be disconnected, and we continue with exactly the same method through the sides. This time though, being very cautious that we do not have the luxury of as much hair at the sides as we did the back. So our line around the method before you work on your ninja speed is. We always concentrate on picking up the slither guide first with our fingers placed right up near the horseshoe section. The hair at the bottom of the nape will be dragged along for the ride. We pull our fingers right the way to the top of the hair. Our fingers are in a horizontal position always, making sure we can clearly see the slither guide, which is our first guide each time. So we are not using our previous section as a guide. We cannot stress enough, this isn't like a usual haircut where you use the previous section as your guide. We always forget about the previous section throughout the whole of the long disconnection haircut. Our guide each time is always the slither and the longest furthest hair away from the slither. So refreshingly, there is no cross-checking with this haircut. We urge you to cut a piece of paper before attempting the squeeze, as the squeeze is the same method, using your thumb to cut and never actually closing the scissors completely. Cutting a piece of paper first before you attempt the squeeze will give you the action and understanding of the squeeze technique. Our body position stays directly at the right hand side. using the previous. Right the way to the top of the hair. Our fingers are in a horizontal position always, making sure we can clearly